Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Wednesday and welcome back to our series on the Havamal. This week we are looking at verse 56. So we will look at three translations. The first reads, Wise in measure should each man be, but ne'er let him wax too wise. Who looks not forward to learn his fate unburdened heart will bear. That's Olive Bray. Second translation. It is best for man to be middle-wise, not over-cunning and clever. The learned man whose lore is deep is seldom happy at heart. That's W.H. Auden and P.B. Taylor. And now for the third translation, which of course comes from my favorite, the Cowboy Havamal. Don't get too goddamn smart now. There's a measure for everything. And if you think you can learn the future, you're a damned fool, not a wise man. You'll be happier not knowing anyway. That's by Dr. Jackson Crawford. There is an obsession with trying to foretell the future, isn't there? And it isn't limited to divinatory circles either. We have computer models and so-called experts who are forever trying to tell us that they and they alone know what's coming and we simply must do what they say. So am I alone in finding that attitude just a tad bit tedious? And I say this as someone who practices divination regularly. But there is a difference between divination for the purpose of gaining insight and someone attempting to use divination as a step-by-step guide for automatic guaranteed success. I like how this verse is a bucket of cold water poured all over that idea. It is a notion that is the trademark of charlatans of every variety. The future is filled with possibilities, probabilities, but it also has more than just a touch of chaos. Not all things are totally predetermined. Even if we consider the concept of fate and the Norse concept of the Norns and the well, each individual still has a role to play in that process. They are putting into that well what can be drawn from it, and each drop that is there, it shapes and affects the final outcome. Now, this verse also rejects the idea that knowing what's coming would be a source of happiness or even of security. Now, even when an outcome is so probable that it is, effectively, unless something really unexpected happens, just about inevitable, it still doesn't mean that we would be benefited from knowing chapter and verse about it. Life and all events within it are the result of an ongoing process that began long before we walked the earth and will continue long after we shed the mortal coil. The one thing we do know without doubt is that all things end. But would it do us any good to constantly fixate on all of the endings we are likely to experience? Hyper-focusing on the possible futures can become an excuse to ignore the present, which is massively counterproductive, because the present is all we have to make a difference to the shape of the future to come. Instead of proactively charting a course, we'll be swept away on the tides of our own worry and quite likely be far worse off. Uncertainty may cause us anxiety, but believing that we know without doubt what's coming can eat away at our courage. Uncertainty doesn't just portend the bad, sometimes it shrouds the good, and we need to leave enough hope in our hearts and curiosity in our minds to embrace the gift of the trickster that is uncertainty. So now's the time has come to tell me what you got out of this verse. I would love to hear about it in the comments section or come see us on Gilded. There's a link in the description box. You just click on it. It'll take you right to us, and we'd be very happy to hear your thoughts there. But that'll do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.